Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CRO Initiative. Today we have Mario Martinez Jr., the founder and CEO of Vengreso, who are the creators of FlyMSG. Mario, it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Chrisley, I'm so excited to be here with you, buddy. Thank you so much for having me. And to all your listeners, I hope you're having a fantastic day and in for a great show.
Absolutely. Loving the energy. And so to get started, typically what we like to do is kind of ask our guests their journey that kind of led them to where they are at today.
Oh my gosh. Let's rewind. That's a big loaded question, but I will say that it's 27 years of B2B sales, marketing, and leadership experience. And 9 years ago, I started out on my own path to become my own boss. It was totally unintentional. But what happened is I actually was invited to speak at LinkedIn's annual sales conference in October of 2015. And if brand equity looked like a straight line walking in, it is just like that, straight up
Mhm.
after speaking to hundreds and thousands or thousands of their customers. And the topic of discussion that I spoke at was I was the first at that time. And still today, I hold the record for the first and only company who's ever had 100% rep adoption of their LinkedIn Sales Navigator platform and
Oh,
100% of the reps of our 350 person sales organization attributed one sales opportunity to the open pipeline, closed one or closed lost. So that was unheard of, never had happened before. And they said, "Would you come and speak at our conference and tell us what you did?" And what I showcased was launching a digital selling training program that was centered on LinkedIn and video engagement and email messaging. And those are the three areas that we focused on. And
gotcha.
so 3 months later, I found myself in a situation where the company I was with as the VP of sales, they were downsizing the company I had been with prior to. When I started, they had 80,000 employees. When I left, we had 40,000. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I was so done with the shrinking company, got laid off, and subsequently, I wrote an article called Dad, You Said LinkedIn Would Make You Money. And it was a conversation with my then 5-year-old that I turned around and wrote the whole entire conversation and a blog article about it. And 4 days after publishing that, I got a message from the head of sales enablement and operations for a Fortune 50 company. And then 5 days after that, I got the an email from the head of America's marketing from a Fortune I think they're now 20, Fortune 15, Fortune 20 company. And it was interesting because when they sent this message, they said, "Hey, I saw that you're out of a job, and I was reaching out because I saw you speak or I saw your video, and why don't you come and help us launch a program for digital selling?" And so that's what I did. 3 weeks later, I had a company, I had my first two contracts, and I started out on my own. Subsequently, fast forward 1 year after that, I decided that I wanted something much bigger, and I decided to do a seven-way company merger with seven other small businesses, all focused on digital selling. We all came together to be able to bring our businesses together. And when we did, we collectively formed the world's largest digital sales training company. Fast forward to 4 years after that, or excuse me, 5 years after that, excuse me, 5 years after that, after the formation of Vengreso, and the most amazing thing happened, and that was the crescendo of our success. And that was when Miller Hyman Sales Training Company, the world's largest sales training
Yep.
company, the CEO reached out to me and said, "I'm coming to San Francisco. I'd like to have a meeting with you." And so I said, "Fantastic, let's have a discussion." And that is where we signed our first contract with Miller Hyman to help them with marketing strategy. And then 3 months later, for the first time in their 43-year history, they hired an outside sales training company, and that
Oh,
was
wow.
Vengreso. So that was our crescendo, if you would, of our success. And at that time, that's when I decided to release a piece of software called FlyMSG, FlyMSG.ai, FlyMSG.ai. And I released this because inside of our training program, we actually had over 60 different types of sales scripts that sellers could use for various use cases, wishing someone a happy work anniversary, to a happy birthday, to a cold email outreach. And our sellers were utilizing this Word document. The problem was is they had our content stored on a Word document. They had another set of templates stored from their manager on a
Hmm.
Google Doc, Word Doc, OneNote. They had their own set of greatest hits stored on a Google Doc, Word Doc, OneNote, Evernote, Notepad, Notebook, Google Keep, draft email, or worse yet, they would hunt and peck for it in their sent folder. And I was like, God, there's got to be an easier way to be able to put all these different snippets and messages that we use over and over again into the cloud and then be able to deploy them anywhere I go. And sure enough, there was. It was called Text Expander. So I built FlyMSG to basically take all of our 60 sales scripts, put them into the cloud so that when we brought on board a seller to our training program, the net effect of it would be that they would utilize our technology to quickly deploy those messages on LinkedIn or on Salesforce or on email. Well, that grew its own set of legs, and I'm happy to say that about 50% of our users are sellers and customer success, but the other 50% of our users are non-sellers. I had folks like digital pharmacists, insurance brokers, doctors, accountants, accounts payable, stay-at-home moms, college professors utilizing FlyMSG as a text expander. But basically, the idea was type out a short code on your keyboard, and then
Yep.
the whole entire text would build itself out. And so once I realized that this was not just a sales tool, it was a tool for any knowledge worker, then I decided that I was going to convert the company again 2 years ago into a SaaS company. And that's what I did. I raised about $1 million worth of funding and started to go to market as a product led growth offering. Well, it turns out my product led growth skills were not near as good as my corporate marketing skills that companies like Miller Hyman use, SAP, Project 44 on a consulting basis. So it's very much a skill and it's very different. The lanes are completely different. So almost took the company out of business several times during that journey because I couldn't get product-led growth to scale. And turns out that I had a sales-led growth play and model that I could go after. And as such, I basically took all of our great sales training that we had
Yep.
called Fly Learning, brought that into FlyMSG. So we teach sellers how to go about doing engagement. So we teach you how to go about using LinkedIn correctly, how to go about doing messaging, how to go about doing video prospecting. And then I teach you why you should engage, the algorithm hacks. And then I give you tools like FlyMSG to be able to quickly deploy those messaging, or Fly Engage to do LinkedIn commenting, which that in itself I'll talk about in a little bit, has its own set of problems. Posting of content, and we've just completed our first acquisition, actually, whereby we are acquiring new technology that will be AI sales role playing software. So
Okay.
essentially, if you look at our training program for the last 9 years, we've been 100% focused on digital sales prospecting.
Hmm.
Now we're all sales prospecting. So LinkedIn, video, email, and the cold call, where your reps will not have to practice on a live prospect, but practice with an AI bot that will be able to speak to them to help coach them up. We'll record the calls. We'll actually rank the calls. We'll give you feedback and then help you understand where you need to improve that on the cold call. So very exciting in terms of what we're launching. Also, some really great things that we've decided to bring together, since FlyMSG is a both a sales productivity
Yeah.
training and writing tool. So it's like three in one, different major functions. We'll be launching some features like AI sentence rewrite, grammar, punctuation, and spelling.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, that's very, very exciting and definitely appreciate the all that context there. Um, I'm curious with the capabilities of Fly Message to kind of be this not only all-encompassing sales tool, quite frankly, but being able to be used in other use cases with other knowledge bases from a marketing perspective and branding perspective. Have you found that any, I guess, struggles in terms of creating that product market fit from a messaging standpoint? And if so, granted, you don't have to give away the sauce, but kind of how you've been able to kind of maneuver that.
Oh my God, yes. So you're absolutely right. Because we sell to the knowledge workers, it has been very difficult. But keep in mind that our niche has always been sales and marketing. In fact, if
Yeah.
you were to type into ChatGPT, hey, who's the best text expander out there for sales and marketing, FlyMSG comes out hands out at the top, right? Because whereas our competitors, some of the tools that are out there that do just text expansion,
Hmm.
they're very much focused on the knowledge worker as a whole, meaning they're going after students, doctors, lawyers, real estate agents, accounts payable, salespeople, marketers. We have predominantly remained focused right at the center of the sales and the marketer, and the sales teams in terms of working with them. And that's where we believe that you'll be able to have the most amount of success in terms of being able to scale your enterprise deployments, which our competitors have not been able to do that on their own into the enterprise. So we've done a lot of back and forth on Google, and Google's had a really hard time trying to figure out who the heck we are over the last 2 years because our messaging swung from sales training, our sales prospecting training, which we
Yeah.
still do today, all the way over to a AI writing productivity tool, all the way back to a sales prospecting training and productivity, and then now back to the center. And so that is still something that you will have to work on, but and that we'll have to continue work on and reiterating and iterating and iterating. But what I will say is we've done a lot with content and we've been very strategic around building our pillars. So
Yep.
as an example, our AI writing pillar, our writing assistant pillars, we've got our sales pillars, our LinkedIn pillars, now soon to be cold calling pillars, those types of things. So we've done a lot about around that. And right now I'm running two plays, which is basically sales led growth, and I'm running product led growth as well. And so hopefully both of those two will pay off and we'll be able to grow and scale this in a pretty significant way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm loving that. And you mentioned kind of LinkedIn with the posting, engagement, comments, and at least for me personally, my personal anecdote, I found that LinkedIn has become a lot more noisy than what it used to be. And so I'm curious from your end, the advice or strategic advice that you guys would give your clients in terms of digital selling. How have you found that those things have now changed and need to be adjusted with just how LinkedIn works today versus how it worked, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago?
Great question. So first off, let's just take a step back and
Yep.
let's think about sales prospecting as a whole.
Hmm.
And I have had the privilege of being able to speak all over the world on sales prospecting. And one of the premier dominating forces all on sales prospecting. Hey, Miller Hyman actually hired us for the first time in 43 years to do sales prospecting. And I think what we need to understand is that there's no one channel that ever works exclusively. It's not the cold call, it's not email, it's not LinkedIn, it's not one this, or that. It is a combination of many things. And that's where we have to be thinking about is how do we actually leverage the omni-channel approach to engaging with our target buyer? Because let's face it, Chris Lee, today you may be a text type of guy. I may
Hmm.
hate text and I'm a video guy. Or you may be an email type of guy and I'm a cold call, right? Like you can call me anytime and I don't want any electronic bings and dings, but I will take a phone call. And that's what we don't know about every individual buyer that we're working with is what type of buyer are they and what are their preferences.
Yeah.
And that is why the latest touch points that I heard was it takes 230 something plus impressions to be able to get a consumer to purchase something.
Wow,
Now, most
230.
230. Most B2B buyers purchase like a prosumer, a professional consumer,
Hmm.
meaning we need to be able to hit them up in various different forms. In the old days, pre-COVID, we could get somebody between 8 and 12 touch points on a cadence. Now,
Yep.
12 to 22, 12 to 22 in a cadence, right? So in that cadence, we need to be thinking about how do we not just throw more automation, but how do we actually throw at the buyer, in this case that we're going at, an omni-channel approach? So I'm going to cold call, I'm going to do LinkedIn engagement, I'm going to do video prospecting, and I'm going to do texting as an example. And when you open up a channel that is more than two, so let's just say email, cold call. When you
Hmm.
open up to a third channel, LinkedIn, or video, LinkedIn and text, or you fill in the blank for something else. Could be gift marketing. When you do a third or fourth channel, you can open up buyer engagement by as much as 40%.
Okay.
Because now we're using an alternate channel to be able to engage with that individual. In addition, one of the things that we learned very quickly was that most sellers, when they were doing quote LinkedIn prospecting, they weren't doing it correctly. Inevitably, if any sales leader listening to this call, whether large or small, in your cadences, you have a couple steps. Number one, you have connect on LinkedIn inside there. And number two, you have do something on social with LinkedIn. Well, first off, I would argue that most of your cadences are all wrong. Why? Number one, you've got to step inside there somewhere between step 2 and 6 to connect with that person on LinkedIn. Wrong answer. Today's buyer, you have to earn the right to connect with someone. You must
Absolutely.
earn the right. And how do you earn the right? Show me that you know me. Show me that you know me. Don't just be another email that blasts into my inbox. And I'm not saying there's no use for automation. There is. And there are places that you can utilize this at. But what we need to be building and thinking about is what we call an outbound high touch sequence. And this is now essentially if I'm selling to you, Chrisley, or anybody else
Hmm.
listening to this call, I'm going to be very much focused on trying to hyper personalize. I'm going to templatize as much as I possibly can using what we call a PVC sales methodology. Personalization, value, call to action, all in 111 words and less, with a subject line no greater than 6 words on a subject line that you would send. All right, it might go something like this. Hey, Chrisley, generally when I reach out to sales leaders, they have two common problems. One, they need their reps to book more meetings, and two, they want to build bigger pipelines. Are you struggling with those two problems? Directly included is an article that I think you'll find super valuable. In fact, there's 2 hours worth of free training that will help you get your reps to get a 60% yes to every meeting request. Insert link. By the way, since you might be struggling with these two problems, I'd love to host a 30-minute call with you. What would be a good time? Or let me know if these are challenges that you're faced with. Or here's my calendar link. There you go. 111 words and less that really identifies the personalization. So in this case, I didn't personalize it at all other than to the buyer persona pain and problem. How would I personalize that? So I might say, hey, Chrisley, look, I loved your podcast that I just heard with John Smith. And I love the point that you brought out about da 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 da, which actually made me think of reaching out directly to you. So that's hyper personalization.
Hmm.
But what's interesting is that in our cadences, we generally have like this cold call, email, LinkedIn connection request. But we forget the two important elements in prospecting. And that is the very first step in your cadence should be nothing else other than go to that person's LinkedIn profile and hit the follow button. The
Absolutely.
follow button. The follow button. What's the follow button? How is that different than LinkedIn Sales Navigator and the save button? Well, throw LinkedIn Sales Navigator out of the water for a minute. There's a beautiful use case for that, but it has nothing to do with the ever important follow button. The follow button actually will send you an email notification that Mario Martinez, with my picture, my headline, and my name, shows up in your email that Mario Martinez has followed you. And you'll get a notification on your mobile device, and you'll get a notification through your LinkedIn notification. So 3 notifications: email, mobile, LinkedIn notifications. Here's the best part about email. LinkedIn's deliverability rate for an email coming from at linkedin.com is
It's 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No spam filter blocks the world's largest B2B social media platform. None. So, why would I send an email from my domain, which, by the way, Vengreso is a super high domain authority? Oracle and Salesforce come to us to get backlinks. Why would I use my email when I can use the guaranteed 100% deliverability into someone's box with my picture, my name, my headline? But now you got to think about, hold on, wait a minute. What the heck do my reps' photos look like? If I'm having them connect, by the way, there's an email that comes out with a connection request that goes
Hmm.
straight to the email. And what does my rep look like online? Do they look like quota crushing sales rep, best contract negotiator, all time President's Club earner? Or did their profile speak to who they help, how they help, and the business problem they solve. So if you're a sales leader listening in and you've got anything social inside your cadence, stop right now and think about what is coming across the buyer's desk. Your reps profiles suck. They speak to a resume that they're looking for a job. And do you think that's what the buyer wants to see? That they're going to be buying from someone who's looking for their next job?
Oh, of
No.
course not.
And that is what we do is we start with, let's start with the basic fundamentals. Then we go to step number one in the cadence, which is we're going to follow somebody. By the way, last step in the cadence, if then no one's responsive, you unfollow that person. The whole idea is I want to trigger. If this person looks at, oh, who's this Mario Martinez? And they come back to my profile and they view my profile right there alone. Bro, right there alone, that is a knock on your door. It is a
100%.
ring of your doorbell, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
in that particular regard, now you go on to the next step, which is the second most important step in the cadence, and that is 84% of buyers start a buying process with a referral. 84%. That means CIO calls up fellow CIO and says, Susie, what did you use to solve for? And Susie says, I had the greatest experience with or the worst experience with, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
Bobby turns around and he starts calling all of his peers and he says, hey, would you make an introduction for me? That is how they're buying. So why not? Why not leverage the referral to get into someone's office? And so we have a two-step process. If you type in sales referral, you'll see Vengreso's article pop up on Google on page number one. And we have about hours worth of training inside there. That's free training that you can watch with your rep. And yes, you can get a 60% yes ratio to the referral. Now, if step number one, follow, doesn't work, if step number two, which is the referral, doesn't work through a mutual connection, then you're going to go on to step number three, which in this case might be a call, it might be an email, might be and each one of these are going to be hyper personalized. And now you get to this component of social engagement. And throughout all of this, you can utilize tools like FlyMSG to help store some of these templates and
Mm-hmm.
quickly deploy them. But one of the big challenges that we found with prospecting, especially using LinkedIn as an example, is if I go to your profile, I'm a rep,
Yep.
I go to yours, I look at your profile. The first thing I do is I go to your posts and I start reading all your posts. If I don't see anything there, I go to your comments and I start reading all your comments. Now, my objective is to actually engage with something. But here's what happens. You put it into the rep's cadence, there's no visibility whatsoever. And so what does a rep do? They look at the post that Chrisley wrote and they say, what the heck? I don't know what to say to this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to thumbs up it. I'm going to emoji love it. I'm going to emoji hand clap it, right? And
Yeah.
they think that that's engagement. That's a flea on the elephant's butt, right? That's what
Right.
that is. So what we discovered was after sending tens of thousands of reps through our sales prospecting training program called Fly Learning, which by the way, just won yesterday the Gold Stevie Award. The
Oh,
Gold Stevie
congrats.
Award for 2025, which, as everybody knows, the Stevie Awards for business are like the Oscars for movie stars or the Grammys,
Mm-hmm.
right? For musicians. So we just won the Gold Stevie Award for Fly Learning, and so what a rep wants to do is they need to look at how do I go about creating content, how to go about creating engagement. So we went to our tens of thousands of students. We had a 97% NPS score, which is unheard of in the sales training world, literally unheard of. And we said, guys, you loved our program, but you're not utilizing LinkedIn, 80% of you. Did you lie to us? Did you really not like our program? No, no, no. Greatest thing since sliced bread. So then I would say, well, what happened? Why aren't you posting content? Why aren't you commenting? Why aren't you creating content? Number one answer on the board, Chrisley, guess what it was?
I would maybe their superiors don't want them prospecting on LinkedIn.
Okay, that was in the top five. That was
Okay.
that was for the leaders who have no clue what they're talking about. By the way, if that's you, hopefully I didn't offend you, but you have no clue what you're talking about. So top five, but no, number one answer on the board was I don't know what to say.
Mm,
I'm not an expert in this field. I don't know what to write. I don't have domain authority in finance, IT, security, right? Number two answer on the board. It took too long to write. So I sat
wow.
back and I thought, I could solve that problem with technology. And we created a feature underneath FlyMSG called Fly Engage. And that was the ability to go to anyone's LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, read the post, and then write an actual reply for that individual using their persona, meaning I'm Mario Martinez, I'm the CEO of Vengreso. These are my likes, my personal interests, my taste, my flair, my style, using your voice, and we
Mhm.
write that for you and we write those comments there out on LinkedIn. But we don't auto post and we don't automate. And that's the key right there. You do
Yes,
not want to provide more automation to our buyers because providing more automation is still crap in, is crap out, right?
100%.
So the thing about this is that we use human assisted AI, meaning you click a button, you say I want to write a curious reply or an optimistic reply or you fill in the blank. And once you do that, then what you're going to do is you're going to now actually have it help you write a reply, and then you can edit it from there and hit post, right?
Hmm.
So we did that, and then we saw one more problem, and that was, hey, in your cadences, do you have the connection step inside your cadence? Inevitably, everybody said yes. And I was like,
Yep.
fantastic. What happens after you connect? The next step said email. The next step said phone call. And I said to all the sales leaders, why? And they said, why not? I said, because that's the stupidest thing you could do. Because inside of LinkedIn, there's this algorithm hack. Here you go. Here's the algorithm hack. You and I connect on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I message you one time, ask you a question using the PVC sales methodology with a call to action, ask you a question to solicit engagement. You reply back one time. I message you one time, you reply back one time. Boom, right there. For the next 4 weeks, I show up in your newsfeed, you show up
Show
in
up in
my
mine.
newsfeed. LinkedIn's going to help build this relationship because they want people to become friends afterwards. So the problem is that 99% of sales leaders don't know that. Reps don't know that, and reps don't know that they're supposed to send a message. Thus, they use FlyMSG to be able to create a messaging template, and then they
Yep.
customize it right there inside of LinkedIn, and they build that out. So I said, "All right, great." So I got reps to start doing that. But then the problem is well, Mario, it's not working. What's not working? I'm not getting engagement. No one's reading my content. Are you publishing any content? No. We'll publish some content. That's where we found the next problem in this process in using LinkedIn. And very specifically, the problem centered around number one, uh, when you asked a rep to write a social media post, they said, I don't know what to write about.
Right.
Number two problem, we did a time motion study as well. 32 minutes to write a social media post on average for a sales rep. 32 minutes to write a social media post. Why?
Hey,
Because they don't know what to say. They don't know what the right format is. Should you have this emoji, that emoji, too many emojis? Should you have a listicle? Should you have an opening? Should you have hashtags? All these were unknowns. Like a comment. A comment took 6 to 12 minutes to write a comment for a seller to a buyer's post. So I said I could solve that problem. And we modeled 9 years of the world's top social selling training program. Nobody's come close to us. Nobody can touch us. We are the best of the best. And for that matter, Miller Hyman says it, and so does Gold Stevie's, right? So with that in mind, we created Fly Post AI. And
hmm
now all a rep has to do is go in, put a topic inside there. Once they put their topic inside there, all they have to do is hit enter and go. We will write the social media post for them. It takes less than just 2 minutes to write the whole post. Now they can read it, another 3 minutes to read it, massage it, edit it. We'll even tell stories using current events that are out there inside of these posts to make it come alive and start popping. I'm very excited because we're releasing a brand new Fly Post next week. And it's going to be so sicko that you can actually put your own persona inside there. You can say include hashtags, emojis. You can even throw an article inside there or a video inside there that will actually create content for creating a post. With that in mind, We also have FlyEngage, where we actually started writing the comments for an individual. All of this human assisted. So we took a 32-minute process, brought it down to less than six. We took a 6 to 12 minute process for commenting, brought it down to less than 1 minute, and that's where we saw the hockey stick approach of growth. Case in point.
Hmm.
It took us 25 months to type out 1.1 billion characters. 25 months to type 1.1 billion characters. That was through February of 2024. From March of 2024 to December of 2024, we typed another 1.1 billion characters in just 10 months versus the first 25. All as a result of building that type of content and material out so that reps can go about getting helping with their writing and assisting in their writing. So that was a super long answer to your question.
No, no worries.
Tell me
Very
about LinkedIn and
insightful.
how this works, but I just basically took you through the whole entire algorithm hack and how the pieces work and about cadences and where you want your cadences, the length of the cadence, the length of the email. So hopefully that was a lot of value for your sellers there and for your sales teams.
No, absolutely, and certainly appreciate that. I'm wondering, do you ever come across pushback from sales leaders, maybe saying like they want unified messaging from their reps? Like I personally get this pushback a lot, where they're like they don't necessarily want their reps going cavalier might be the wrong word here, but cavalier in terms of, hey, you're posting this content or that content, or where even reps are saying, hey, yeah, this content is great, but I have to send it to my sales leaders for approval prior to posting or anything like that.
No, I mean, there's marketing organizations that want to be able to drive what's called employee advocacy, where they're
Yep.
typing out the content and everybody's evangelizing that. But
Hmm.
sales leaders right now, if you hear that from your marketing leader or marketing leaders, if you're trying to drive that, stop. Just stop. Employee advocacy. Look, I give a keynote around the world that said the title is "Why Sales Thinks Your Employee Advocacy Program Sucks." Here's the problem. The problem that's going to happen is that it's nice for people to be able to deploy out content onto their newsfeed. But because you're using the LinkedIn sharing API, LinkedIn knows with 100% certainty that this is an automated post, not
Hmm.
organic, not native, automated. They know with 100% certainty, and as a direct result of knowing with 100% certainty, they only display that content to 5% of your network.
Hmm.
So if you're thinking that you're going to get your whole sales team starting to share content, woohoo, hoorah, right? If you think that you're going to be able to get that, great. You might get it from them out of the first 45 days. But after that, every employee advocacy program that I've seen from the largest of large Fortune 100 all the way down to the super small, utilizing tools like Meet Edgar or any of the other social media tools, have tanked dramatically after 45 days to 60 days maximum. And why did they tank dramatically? Because sales didn't see results. Why did sales not see results? Not because they didn't customize the content. It makes no difference whatsoever whether I customize it or send out what marketing put together. None. No difference. What the difference was is if I took that content and posted it organically on my social media site for LinkedIn versus through the LinkedIn sharing API. And so I'm not saying don't do employee advocacy. What I am saying all to all my marketers is do it. Let the rest of the company utilize an employee advocacy solution. Let them become evangelists for your content. But for salespeople, it's not a permanent replacement. It is an augmentation.
Yeah.
And what salespeople should be doing is at least 2 times a week, they should be posting organic content. The other 3 days, sure, use the employee advocacy solution if you want to. But you cannot think that you're going to drive success knowing that you're already walking into the knife fight with two hands tied behind your back because LinkedIn already knows that it's using the LinkedIn sharing API and they're going to throttle it anyways,
Yep.
right? So sales leaders don't invest in that. Do invest in tools like FlyMSG or others, maybe it's not ours, that are helping your reps to write native content that they will then be able to go about doing and engaging with their target buyers and sharing that content into their network. But it's all for nothing. It is all for nothing if you do not have the buying sphere of influence inside your connections. So if all you've got, maybe you came from selling to finance and now you're selling to IT. If all you got are CFOs in your network, and you're sharing IT related content, then who cares? That's not going to do any good for you to share that. So you
Hmm.
really need to develop what's called a connection strategy. And that connection strategy is building up your base of network of buying influencers that you sell into so that you have somebody that cares about the content that you're going to be distributing.
That makes a whole lot of sense when you say it that way. So I'm curious, like even when you're hiring now, let's say, okay, sales leader, I'm bringing on, three new sales reps. Um, Based on that, it makes sense to on the front end, part of their onboarding is would be working with them on their LinkedIn to start building those connections to the buyer personas of what my product slash service is.
Provided that your persona is actually on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
It's very
well, there you
rare.
go.
Like, look, we worked with the world's largest vanilla extract company, Virginia Dare. Believe it or not, their chief scientists and laboratory researchers, they're on LinkedIn. Who would have known, right?
Right.
Now, are they pervasively on LinkedIn or would they answer emails more often? Yes, the answer is they would answer emails more often, but it is a channel. A third of their buyers were on LinkedIn and they had to regularly engage with them. Why? Because it was a younger generation and that younger
Sure.
generation was on the social media platforms, right? And so we need to think about things differently when we're prospecting. They're there most likely, and it is a channel that you need to master. Now, I spent a lot of time talking about LinkedIn. What we didn't talk about was video prospecting. We
Right.
had email messaging. I mean, well, I had actually touched on the PVC sales methodology for email messaging, but one of the big challenges that I see, especially, is in cold calling. Like if you're going to have a rep, a BDR, SDR, and a full sales selling cycle AE, reach out to your buyers. Look, the numbers are pretty bad right now. You got to dial 100 people to get three people live. That's
Right.
approximately the number right now. So the big challenge that I see is in the old days when I was starting out 27 years ago, yes, at 19 years old, working at a software company, an EDI 400 software, an EDI software company, selling onto the IBM AS400 and mainframe and Unix platform. Um, I started out 19 years old. We used to have something called a Y connector. And that was I sat in my cube, I put my headphones on, I would split my cord and put a Y on it. So I'd put one end into the phone and the other end would go into my manager. And he would sit there and listen to me make cold calls and he would coach me and give me guidance, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right, we're all remote now, or we may be in the office, but you've got how many times do you actually sit and listen to the messages that your reps are leaving? Or how about this? Line up, I don't care if you got 10 sales reps in your next sales meeting, have them all answer one question. Tell us who we help and how we help them. What business problem do we solve? Three questions. Who we help, how we help, what business problem we solve. I guarantee you'll get 10 different answers. And oh, by the way, here's the caveat, do it in less than two sentences. Nobody will be able to
Oh
do
yeah.
it, and you'll have 10 different answers. And so this is the problem with coaching, right? So we really, what ends up happening is our reps are making these calls because we entrust them to make phone calls on our behalf, but they're practicing on live prospects.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're three for 100, three people to 100 phone calls that you're practicing on those three people. You're bound to screw up on one or two of those out of the three. So let's utilize tools and technology like within FlyMSG called Fly Roleplay that will allow you to be able to practice on an AI bot that is sounds like, feels like your persona, but maybe it's the pessimist today. Maybe you're going to practice tomorrow on the optimist. Maybe you're going to practice on the friendly. Maybe you're going to practice on the person who doesn't want to talk to you, right? So you how to overcome all these objections and practice with the AI bot that we've created to be able to help enterprises engage through cold calling quicker, faster, and better.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, in the management of it, that's a whole nother ordeal, not with many of these organizations not being in office anymore, to be able to overhear phone calls and come in and just do that coaching right away. Um, I'm curious with the video prospecting, because that's one area, myself personally, I have not dabbled in as much as the other ones, like, cold email, cold calling, LinkedIn. I feel like they've been not buried into the ground, but hey, people know those things at least on a surface level. The video, I find very, very intriguing and kind of curious what's your kind of angle on it.
Yeah, video prospecting, super powerful. Look, one of the ways that as we engage with each buyer through email, that it only appeals to one sense sight. As we do a phone call, it only appeals to one sense, that is hearing.
Yep.
If we look at video, video actually appeals to two senses at the same exact time, both sight and hearing,
Hmm.
which is something you can't get. Also, video can be leveraged for many different things, not just prospecting, but also the follow-up, explanation, sign here, do this, show me the start here. And so you can create these great videos, and they show up also on LinkedIn thumbnails inside of messaging as well.
Yeah.
So, video prospecting is a lost art, forgotten art, unused art. Here's the numbers. The numbers are pretty easy to understand. Your videos should never be more than 1 minute, especially on prospecting, preferably
Hmm.
anywhere between 30 to 40 seconds. The average attention adult span that we have once we're engaged is a little bit above 40 seconds. So you've got about 40 seconds to keep them engaged after you've captured them. Now, to capture them, you've got 8.5 seconds. So when you do that video, it can't look something like this. Hi, Chrisley. Mario Martinez here from Vengreso. Hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I was hoping that you and I can book a call. No,
Yeah.
right? You got 8.5 seconds to capture that attention. So, what does that look like? You're going to be cockeyed just like this, and you're going to be waving for that Giphy. Why? Because the play button is right in the center of the video. So, you want to make sure that when you're appealing to that individual buyer, your reps have to be positioned so that the buyer sees the pearly white teeth. Yeah, they want to see the
Yeah.
pearly white teeth. They need to see you to be able to build trust. And I illustrate it this way. Chrisley, do you have any kids?
No.
Okay. If anybody who's listening and has kids, they've done this before. They know what I'm talking about. So here we go. We're walking down on the street. I've got anywhere from a young toddler to a 10-year-old, child, 11-year-old child, maybe even 11. I'm walking, they're by my side. I see somebody as I'm walking coming towards me, and I'm like, yeah. And I grab my daughter or my son's hand a little bit tighter, a little bit closer. Or I take them and say, hey, come over here on this side of me.
Yep.
Okay? Happens all the time. Why? All we did, all we did was form a judgment just by looking at someone, and that judgment is formed in 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's all it takes. So if you've got, and you send a video thumbnail over to a prospect, and you've got a big play button sitting right in front of your face, the only thing you can see is my eyes right now, right? That's the only thing you can
Hmm.
see. You've got to make sure that they see the pearly white teeth, the smile, because that is the instant trust. That is what builds trust. So once you do that, now you've got 8.5 seconds to be able to capture them. So it might sound something like this. Hey, Chrisley, Mario Martinez here. Thanks so much for taking a look at my video. This is only going to take 37 seconds. Now, listen, the reason why I'm reaching out is now that is energy. That is excitement.
Absolutely.
That is passion. That is like, whoa, who is this person? Cool. All right. Maybe a little bit much, but now I'm curious because you are naturally attracted to positive energy.
Oh yeah.
That's what you're attracted to. So video works so beautifully, and most reps don't do it. And there's a lot of free tools that are out there, like Hippo Video, OneMob, even Loom as well, that you can utilize. So I would encourage people to use video all day long. And in fact, we recommend that you use that in the last third minimum last third, if not 50%, and at the 50% mark in a
Of your
cadence
cadence. Yep.
of your
Okay.
cadence. And the reason why it's not first is because it's a multimedia asset, and sometimes those things can get caught in spam. So you don't want those. You want to be able to warm that person up so that they see Mario's name all over the place, right? Email,
Hmm.
through LinkedIn, on social media. They see Mario's name on my voicemail. They see Mario's name on an email that I just sent them. And once they see that, now this Mario, 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 every few days, right, that are coming through. Eventually, when you send a video that is from Mario Martinez, that's a nice, pretty thumbnail that has your face on it without the play button being sitting right on top of it. That's when they're going to be able to click. So at minimum, I'm sorry, at the earliest, you would do it at the 50% mark. But generally, we'll see that if we have a 22-step cadence, you'll see that somewhere around step 12 to 15 is where we put it at.
Mm. Okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's something I've found actually, just in the cold email world of prospecting, is so many leaders and reps are so focused on new contacts, new contacts, new contacts, and I feel like they're not getting the juice out of all these contacts that they've reached out to, maybe three, four, five, six times, and then stopped because of the pursuit of new, new, new. And so, like for example, with myself, I'm always encouraging. I call them nurture campaigns, but they're really a re-engagement campaign because many times, hey, it's a timing issue as to why they didn't move forward. It could be, hey, we don't, this looks good, it's great, but I don't need it right now. I might need it 3 months from now, 5 months from now, whatever the case may be. And so there is that healthy balance that has to be there, in my opinion. I found, at least from an email standpoint, you want to give it I don't know, 60, 90 days or so once they've kind of finished through however long your cadence is before re-engaging with them. I'm curious if you have any strategies around the re-engagement piece of reaching back out to prospects whom they've been through the cycle and did not kind of engage one way or the other.
That's a good question. Um, I would say the world is generally speaking pretty darn large. So I have not run a lot of re-engagement strategies and campaigns,
Hmm.
but what I have counseled customers to do is that if you have a finite set of customers, say it's only 10,000 is the world your possibility, or 20,000, whatever the number is,
Yep.
that's where you need to start looking with marketing. You need to start partnering with marketing to be able to remember I said earlier 230 plus impressions before someone makes a buying decision,
Hmm.
right? So if you're really smart, you would take a lot of your contacts, you'd run lookalike audiences on advertisements, and you'd put these folks in front of ads. As an example, if they hit your website, you want to be able to run automated campaigns that there's plenty of software out there that now says, hey, Mario Martinez has come to your website,
Yep.
and they can scrape the email and you put them into a unsolicited email campaign in the domestic US with an unsubscribe link on there, right? Or some way for them to be able to say, hey, no thanks, I don't want to be part of this. And so that's really cool. And we actually have that going on right now. If you went to our website, we're able to recognize you through all the various public points of information. You will start receiving an email drip directly from us to engage with you. And I think those are important. Those things should be happening whether or not you're in an outbound campaign or not. The other thing too that I think we should be thinking about is what are we bringing of value? So people want something in exchange for something. And a great way to think about this is what we call account-based podcasting. Maybe perhaps that's what you're doing here. It's what I do. I've
Hmm.
got the Modern Selling Podcast. It's a 9 year long running show, top 1.5% of all podcasts globally. And on the Modern Selling Podcast, I can reach out to any CRO, CSO that I want, from Fortune 100 to small organizations, and get them to join the show and build the relationship that way. So you want to be thinking of what are some of the unique ways that I can do account based, and fill in the blank, accounts based marketing, account based podcasting, account based, and you fill in the blank, so that I can actually have these multiple touch points. Remember, 200 and something impressions of your particular brand, and that's very important. If you're a small company, you're probably wondering, well, how can I do all this? Well, I'm a small company. I'm a very small company. We have less than 10 employees. We're doing it, and there's a ton of software that allows you to be able to do that now that doesn't cost very much money. So, with that in mind, you should be running re-engagement campaigns, but let them sit at least, I would say, 60 to 90 days. If they have,
Yep.
if you have a high touch cadence that has 22 touch points and they haven't engaged with you, you're either your messaging sucks, you don't have product market fit, or they don't have a need.
Right.
So, assuming that it's not the first two, then they don't have a need. Check back with them in 90 days and put them into a re-engagement campaign, which is generally not going to be as long. It's going to be something smaller, and that's what I would call like a low touch
Yeah,
model, where it's
absolutely.
more automated with value added content.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, hey, I certainly want to be sensitive to your time as well. I know we're pushing an hour here, but before I let you go, I like to kind of end these things with something that I call one last gem, where if someone got hit over the head after listening to this and forgot most of the stuff, what is the one piece of advice that you want them to leave with?
Oh my goodness. Prospecting is an art and a science.
Mm,
I'll leave you with this one thought, and that is sales is the art of helping. Sales is the art of helping. So help someone figure out how to solve a problem. That's what our focus has to be on.
Absolutely. I like that. I love that actually. Sales is the art of helping. Got to keep that one in the repertoire.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, Mario, I certainly appreciate your time. And to everybody in the audience, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the CRO Initiative. And until next time, have a great day.